Hello and welcome to Wise Woman Wednesdays. I'm Jennifer Regular, the Soul Illuminator at Lighting the Path, where I get to help thought leaders, creatives, and visionaries direct the life that they're meant to live so they can make the impossible possible, create global impact, and fulfill their life mission. I'm also host of this podcast where I get to bring so many people from around the world with inspiring messages to share their wisdom and strength for the journey. Today, my guest is a fellow Canadian who is going to teach us how to master our energy to fulfill our purpose. Who is she, you ask? Well, this is Jennifer Lyall. She is an intuitive business mentor and chief energy optimizer. She helps visionary entrepreneurs too, and she helps them to release to increase, release confusion, overwhelm, and blocks so that they can have more clarity, confidence, and follow through on that so they can uplevel their impact and their income with ease. Jennifer is known for helping ambitious entrepreneurs make million-dollar decisions, trusting their intuition. Her genius is tuning into the energy of ideas, people, places, and situations to help them release in their business and take bold action. Jennifer, I am so excited here that you're here and you're going to teach us how to master our energy so that we can fulfill our life purpose. So how did that become such a passion for you?
Oh, great question. My business sucked, quite honestly. I had started my business back in 2008 with video podcasts, believe it or not. The video podcast was called Vitamin Junkies. I was a co-host with a naturopathic doctor, and I was just a mom who was passionate about wellness. All I wanted to do was work part-time while my kids were in school and have advertisers in my podcast. But back in 2008, podcasting was at its infancy, and it was really hard to build an audience as well as to find advertisers. And I didn't believe in myself because I was just a mom with passion. I didn't have any letters behind my names. So I got a handful of advertisers, just like, it should be easier than this. And so there was a moment in 2010 where I just sat on the couch. The house was pitch black. Everyone was asleep still. It was early in the morning. And I gave myself permission to figure out what made my heart sing. And in that process, then I had my world open up to a spiritual wonderland. But I was really stuck in this paradigm of working hard. And I remember working with a coach saying, I just want 2 minutes to breathe. And she's like, well, take those 2 minutes. But I didn't value myself enough to take that time. I was so depleted energetically. And so through a process called automatic writing, for those who aren't familiar with it, it can be also called stream of consciousness. If you've ever heard of Neil Donald Walsh's books, Conversations with God, he would just be doing writing where he was channeling these messages. And through that, I was getting nudged to, take an hour for your morning practice. You need it. And it's just like, oh, I can't possibly take an hour. I didn't realize how that was such an investment in me. So I'd be able to get through the day. So that's how the passion really started.
It's so important to be able to take that time, especially first thing in the morning. It sets a whole tone for the day, and it also aligns you, right? And to be able to come from that creative space and in harmony with whatever comes up through the day, it helps you carry you through. So it's more like, well, how can you not do that, right?
And as a light worker yourself, you also know that, yes, the beginning of the day is really crucial to start off with a high energy. So I call it like a full inner battery. But what we forget, though, is how much we're integrating and tangling with all of these different energies, from when we're scrolling through social media, going through an email, the phone calls you get, the interactions with potential clients, interactions with family members, and that can send you sideways. And if you don't take that pause throughout the day to check in and see, how am I showing up? How am I being of service right now? What is the energy I'm infusing and what it is that I'm about to do?
Yeah.
Right. And with the people that we work with, this is key. And this is part of the genius of what you do as well, right? Helping them to make sure that they're showing up as the best version of themselves. Because if you're feeling fantastic at 9 a.m., but then by noon, something sent you sideways, and then whether somebody cut you off in traffic on the way to the meeting, and then you keep telling that story of that bugger that cut me off. Well, that's what you're bringing to your day.
Yeah.
And you undermined yourself.
It's really a diversion, isn't it, from what we set out and intended to do.
Exactly.
When
And
we
that
allow ourselves to be distracted by, the disruption, right?
Right.
Not being able to handle those disruptions when we're not grounded and in the light.
Exactly. And it takes us away from our truth.
Yes. Yes, it does. And I love what you say about, wanting to show up as our best version of ourselves, not what's left of us, right? Not our depleted selves, right?
That's
We
right.
want to step with our best foot forward. And so that's where self-care and soul care is really important. And checking in, like you say, Jennifer, we give so much attention to everything else, our to-do list and all the people around us and our obligations, appointments, and so on. It's really important to come back in and do those checks. So how do you suggest people do that? How can they make that a practice in their day?
I'm going to dive into that in just a moment, but I just want to come back to the true importance of this mastery, because it's so important with the work that we do, that we're leading our clients through. And I
Yes.
really want to drive this point home. So you did talk about the self-care and the soul care. And what I also want to bring up in this conversation around mastering your energy is around the self-awareness, right? So when you know better, right? You know better. You have a choice. So once you check in, and I'm happy to walk you through this process, excuse me, when you check in and then you discover that you're like a 7 out of 10 or a 3 out of 10 because maybe you didn't sleep well last night and maybe you made it through the morning, but now you're crashing. Well, are you just going to push through and just infuse that crap into whatever it is you're working on, or something that would normally take you half an hour to do because you're only at half battery, half full, it takes you 90 minutes to do it because you're making so many mistakes, or you have to go back the next day and fix it? It's not serving you.
Right.
So this depth of self-awareness, it amplifies your intuition. It helps you with also having more self-compassion for you and for others, because you have this deep level of awareness of what's going on inside of you. So you're able to recognize it in others, in the conversations, in the little nuances of how they respond to a question, or their body language, or the way their face looks. You start to pick up on these things. And in business, this becomes a superpower for tuning into situations, people, places, and things.
Oh, Jennifer, I'm so glad that you made that point of how to master your energy and really have that depth of self-awareness. Yeah.
I think there's a little bit more for you to bring up here. There's something in your genius around the mastery that's really important that you need to share. So I'm going to take a pause and a sip, and I'm going to let you.
The pause in your genius. Well, for me, it's really going into your deeper passion, right? And the way I see passion is, when you dissect the word, it's pass I on. And that I is your soul's expression. That's your deeper truth. That is your signature, right? It's who you are and what you bring through, no matter what you're doing, no matter what kind of role you have, or whether you're an entrepreneur or a business owner, a career person, a professional, or a parent, or any of the things, even just for yourself. It's how, again, you were saying about how you're showing up. When you show up through your soul's expression, your deeper passion, that's what you're passing on to others, and through the work that you do and the service that you provide comes through that. It's a soul-centered approach. And that too is about self-awareness, is really getting in touch with that inner passion, that inner drive, and being motivated by that passion rather than through obligation, for example.
Well, with that beautiful way you express it, the pass I on, if you're not passing on your true self-expression and soul expression of who you truly are, then you're passing on all the crap from those old patterns, the old beliefs, from the generations, from the previous lifetimes, from, your past employers, your past relationships. That's the crap that you're passing on if you are not honoring you. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
good.
it's also true too, isn't it, Jennifer, to be able to share some of that vulnerability, because that too is part of our story and the wholeness and fullness of who we are. There are some traumatic experiences that we've been through, especially if you're a light worker or a healer. There's many initiations, rites of passage, I call them, right? To learn what it takes to heal and become whole and decondition anything that isn't true, that isn't us. Right, to really get to the core of our true selves. And that too is helping to cultivate that self-awareness. And I love that you also mentioned self-compassion, because that too is a way to approach how we address our own needs and how we can help serve and help others meet their needs too. Always comes from that place of compassion.
Yeah. And so even something that I'm working on is making requests for help. And in one of the processes that my mentor is teaching about, she was saying about how, actually it was from a book. Actually, it's from the book Do Less. That's where it came from.
Yes.
By Kate Northrup. And so she talks about asking for help. And she asked the questions, journal around when you were little and you asked for help, how was that received? And my mom, bless her soul, she had 7 kids, had a family business. She would leave at 7 in the morning, come home at 11 at night.
Wow.
Had long days. And me as a little girl, they'd be sitting in the living room watching TV. I'd put myself to bed and I was afraid to go and turn off the light and then jump into bed. So I would be yelling, will someone please come turn off the light for me? Will someone come please turn the light off for me? And a lot of times it wouldn't. So that, immediately get reconnected to that. I got some stuff to process around that, but those are the things that can come up.
Yeah.
So as you start to do these check-ins of checking your inner battery throughout your day, and I'll walk you through the process in just a moment here, you start to recognize, okay, so how am I feeling in these different areas and why? What is it that has me rating myself that number? And then you start to hear that quiet whisper of that inner child, or the voice from your brother yelling at you, or that old boss, or whatever it might be, that's a situation similar to what you're experiencing right now. And it's impacting you. And that is the depth of self-awareness. That is how you start to break the patterns. That is when you pull on that self-compassion to realize, this way that I'm talking, this way that I'm feeling, it's not even me.
Yes.
Me.
Yes. One of the ways that I check into is when I'm feeling disturbed or I have some unrest about a situation, or, I have thoughts ruminating in my head. And then I'd ask, what is the deeper truth hidden in this, right? What is this showing me? And even just asking that question starts to create some openness to the possibility that you're receiving some kind of guidance, right? And an opportunity for healing and insight. And the wisdom comes from that space that you open up when you ask, right? What's really going on here? What's the source of this? What's the deeper truth in this?
Yes, that's it. All right. So I'll just quickly take us through the process of checking your inner battery. So you're going to want a pen.
Okay.
And a piece of paper.
All right. I don't have that around immediately.
That's okay. That's okay. You can, if you're open to it, you can
Mhm.
share what numbers come up for you and I'll write it down.
Okay.
So for our listeners, for the listeners, what you will want to write down is physical and leave some space, emotional and leave some space, mental and leave some space, and spiritual and leave some space. And what we're going to do is we're going to check in to see how you're feeling on a scale of 1 to 10 in each of these areas, and also do a quick scan through to say what's going on here, whether it's high or low, it doesn't matter. It's about your own personal awareness.
Mhm.
Okay. So I like to close my eyes, put my hand on my heart, and that just kind of grounds me, takes me within. And I ask myself on a scale of 1 to 10, how am I feeling physically right now? First number that comes.
8.
Awesome. And are there any words behind why you're rating yourself an 8?
I feel strong and open and relaxed at the same time. Um, Not perfect 10 because, I can feel a little bit of tension or tightness in a couple areas in my body.
Mm, perfect. I'm an 8 as well. I can still feel a little tickle in my throat, but overall pretty good. All right. Next question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel emotionally right now? And 1 is low and 10 is high.
I'd give myself a 9 at the moment.
Me too. And what are some of the emotions or the words that come up for you around that?
Contentment, joy, just a feeling of possibility, wonder.
Oh, I love it. I feel excited because I love these kinds of conversations, and like
Mm-hmm.
we both share the same passion. So it's always so delicious having conversations with people that are the same heart and soul, and we're like sisters, soul sisters holding hands out in the universe, helping helping beautiful souls.
Yes, and that's so true, right, Jennifer? Our energy can also be affected by the energy of who we're with and around as well, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Lifting us up or pulling us down. And it's
Mm-hmm.
this check-in helps you to become aware of that as well.
Yes.
Okay, next question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel mentally right now? And this is about how clear thinking or foggy you might feel, distracted or focused. And also, what are the dominant thoughts that are coming up?
Mm. I'd say a 10 because I can't think of anything that's sort of wrong at the moment.
Beautiful.
So I'm going to give
Awesome.
myself a 10 there.
Beautiful. I gave myself a 9 and I feel really clear and focused.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this last question is on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel spiritually? And this is about you and your connection to the higher power that you believe in. God, Allah, Buddha, the universe, whatever it may be. Or if that doesn't resonate, it could be your higher self or your purpose or simply faith that things are going to work out.
At the moment, I'd say, 9 or 10.
Nice.
Yeah.
And are there any words that come up around that?
Connected.
Yes, that's a word that comes up for me a lot when I check into if I'm connected or if I'm feeling like I'm reaching up for connection. If I've been low and then it's like, oh, I can feel my soul's like, come on, Jennifer, reach up, you could do it. So I'm feeling like a 9.5 right now as well.
Yeah.
And so that's really fascinating. That's fantastic work. So
Thank
here's
you.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity to share this. I'm on a mission to teach 1 million people how to check their inner battery as often as they
Yay.
check their phone battery.
Oh, yeah.
So, we're both feeling fantastic right now. This is what I call the thriving zone when you're an 8, 9, or 10. When you are a 5, 6, or 7, you're suffering. And when you are a 1, 2, 3, or 4, you're just surviving, right? You're in that survival mode. So if you think about that, if you think about the colors that are typically depicted for a battery, the root chakra, the red, and then if you're in that sort of suffering, then that's kind of there's stuff going on with the sacral chakra, with your solar plexus chakra. But when you're full in that green, you're in your heart, right? And that's when you're in that thriving zone. And that's when you're projecting out the energy from your heart.
Yes.
So when you check in, if you discover that you are low, you now have a choice. Am I going to continue knowing that, or am I going to pause and do something about it? And it can be that 2 minutes to breathe that I didn't give myself. And now I do. I'm really passionate about that. My go-to is going outside, being barefoot in the backyard.
Ooh.
It could be smelling the flowers. It could be petting your cat, pulling out a coloring book, dancing to your favorite song. You start to look at what are the best things for boosting your energy. And actually, as the key is to develop the habit. And as I share it, I have a wonderful 7-day energy transformation where if this is really resonating with you and you'd like to get some support on bringing this to life and starting to create the habit in your world, I send you 7 emails where I guide you through the process, take you a little bit deeper in how to get more insight and make some suggestions of some different energy boosts so you can boost your energy up if you discover that it's a little low.
Oh, that's amazing. Amazing, Jennifer. And so how would people access that?
So you're going to be sharing a fantastic link below, and you can go to the website jlyall.com/energy star. Energy star.
Beautiful.
lyall.com/energy star.
Oh, that's so cool. I love it. Energy Star also reminds me of my spirit name, which is Loving Wolf Star.
Ooh.
Yes, I love Energy Star. That sounds just so perfect. Jennifer, that's such a generous offer. Thank you so much for sharing this practice and also some more. For a whole 7 days, you get to check in and go through this process that you take people through. So tell us a little bit more about your work and how people can connect with you.
So I, as an intuitive business mentor, I work with people both one-on-one and in different group programs. And a lot of the work that I do is around mastering your energy. So clearing away the energetic blocks that stop you and helping you be accountable, getting in tune to that big vision and be held accountable to taking action. And you're welcome to visit my website, jlyall.com, and you can learn a little bit more about the different programs that I offer there.
Oh, thank you, Jennifer. It sounds like amazing work, and I appreciate your service to humanity in that way. And I'll have all the links too for everybody in the show notes so that they can just click into that and be able to explore your website, get that 7-day energy transformation, see all the beautiful work that you do, and really experience that for yourself, because this can be life-changing. You know what? It's not even it can be. It is life-changing and for the better. It's amazing how much your life can expand in this way by just taking, as you say, in that morning routine, investing that time, because your return on your investment is so huge. It actually gives you more time.
It actually does. And so I've led groups through 10 weeks of checking your inner battery.
Oh, wow.
And because it really solidifies the habit and the level of awareness of the self-sabotaging patterns, stronger boundaries, recognizing who are people that are just sucking the energy out of you, and then how you can show up stronger before you interact with them. Because when your energy field is strong, and they don't bother you as much.
No, it just bounces off. Yeah,
exactly. Intuition, heightened, confident, so much good juju. And for the people who are listening to this podcast, this is a game changer.
Amazing. So glad. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to do that. And thank you so much for being here and just engaging in this amazing conversation. Always learn so much being around you and sharing that energy. So really appreciate you, Jennifer.
Thank you. I appreciate you too.
Yes, and I appreciate and honor each and every one of you that have been listening and watching today on Wise Woman Wednesdays. Jennifer, is there any other wisdom that you'd like to depart with?
You are way more magical than you realize. Honor your energy and step into her.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we'll see you all again next time on Wise Woman Wednesdays.